Yes.
I just wanted to address that one guy's comment and say that I think that we look at things not from the perspective of anything else, because we are in a sense limited. Like we don't communicate with smell properly the way other animals do. I know I'm getting back to this, but still, like turtles can see 4 colors. We can only see 3. But pit vipers have almost infrared vision, and it's just like we could never. Bees can see UV rays, but we could never do that no matter how hard we try. And so we'll never be able to see things through their perspective or understand it. And we think symbolically, and I'm sure they can't comprehend that. They spend a lot. Well, everything except humans does stuff. We spend time thinking about it and don't do all that much. They act, and we think about acting or what other people do or what we might do instead, rather than living knowledge, I guess, or living understanding. And that's what at least most animals do. And just, yeah.
Yeah, we can imagine, we can try to imagine what it's like. That's what good novelists do. They try to imagine what the world looks like from different perspectives. The power of imagination is very important. And actually, as we study the eye, you could perhaps create some machines which would give you a sense of what are some of the aspects that are being experienced. But it gets more complex. But this is where we're working from. We're trying to work with this to get this stuff to work better so that we don't think it's all about us. We realize in the history of the universe, 14 billion years, we haven't been around that long. More than 14 billion? No, 14 billion is the...
4 billion.
Yeah, so something like that. So, okay. Give or take 2 billion years, what the heck?
Hi. I think probably the most counterintuitive realm of thought to what you're saying about inclusive thought and expanding this thought to other members of humans is the economic thought that we've got into of expanding the free markets and neoliberalism and all of this. And I think what it has done is it has, for the most part, extended the colonialism to a type of power that we should be extending to corporations.
Sure.
And this type of thought seems to grant with it extended power to those who have increased financial power and leverage. And if you've, like, I don't know if many people have read the book Blood Bankers, but it paints a seriously disturbing picture of this. And I just think it's this realm of thought is very much not open to.
Yeah. Well, I think your point's well taken about thinking counterintuitively, because our common sense world is reinforced by the types of organizations and institutions around us. Those organizations and institutions are doing some good things, but they're doing an awful lot of other things, much of which can be very dangerous and bad. So we have to have the ability to try to step back. That can be something that can be developed. A very powerful book related to the type of thought you're saying is the book about the organization. And people have worked on that, how the organization is our, the corporation is our organization now. And the corporation and perhaps is more powerful than the church in terms of looking at how society works and the sorts of things that we take for granted. Around the university, quite often people start adopting this business model of the university. What I do is I walk around the university and see my colleagues and always say, how's business today? I want to just use this gratingly because we know a university has to go beyond that, but this is the language which people are now starting to accept as the common sense. So I want to fight, in some ways, the propaganda techniques to get certain sorts of language that are being used. Watch in terms of political campaigns. Watch the language that sides are trying to use as they try to spin things. So we've become aware of the fact that there can be these hidden assumptions in the language. I think we're starting to analyze now how power works. I wonder, as a professor, students laugh at my jokes. But they're my students. My daughter doesn't laugh at my jokes anymore. I think she, in some ways, is much more honest, and you realize that there are certain sorts of power that just comes with position. And to realize that, and to realize subtle elements of power, is opening up perspectives that, again, we need to look at with free inquiry. But I think it's a very good point, because otherwise we're just locked into the status quo. And I think there's a danger of us being just charismatic cheerleaders for the status quo.
Yeah,
Yay, more technology, more good things. Isn't it a wonderful world? Yay.
See, I think that's what's happening though, because like looking at the dependency theory, it's not in the interest of first world nations to be in cohesive to these poorer states, and the elites who run the poorer states, it's in their interest to be going along with the first world, what they're expounding, because they're being enriched by it, and there's this a vicious cycle that continues to go on, and that's not open to considering other forms of change, and it's the environment and
I would agree. It can be overwhelming. Yeah.
Quality of life for people in these third world countries has not really been heard.
Yeah, I think that we're painting, both of us are painting with broad strokes. However, I think your point's well taken. We have to be aware of large political types of issues and the sorts of discourse we have about those. However, in terms of changes within the world, there have been amazing changes in the last 30 years about things that people would have never thought could have possibly been accepted. Take the issue of gay marriage. 30 years ago, people would say, no way. 20 years ago, no way. 10 years ago, not sure. So things do change within spectrum. So we can look at a whole series of movements that have changed. It's not easy, and we don't know exactly how to do things. But I think to give up perhaps is a greater sin. But I don't want to downplay the complexity. But I do want to say, you find little pockets where you can make something better. And those things can take a life of their own. The book, The Tipping Point, says you don't have to get a majority on your side. Sometimes if you get a little mass here, some neat things can happen. And I really think that the world is, in some ways, much more complex than we think it is.
Are there any final questions to the secretary?
I'll ask later.
Okay. Okay, I guess we'll conclude. Thanks a lot. Dr. Novak will be around for another few minutes if anybody did want to ask him some last questions, I think, but I think we'll conclude the formal portion of tonight's evening.